welcome to my project vlog. This is PezKnits. My name is Presley, and I thought I'd do a little recording showing you my process in knitting the Kai fella sweater, which I will be knitting for my partner. So I have started it. I have cast it on. I'll get into that later. I hope you're well. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please take a moment to do so. Okay, so in a previous mini episode that I did, I had showed you how I was able to choose colors for my color palette. The Kai fella sweater is like a patchwork design, and there's 7 different colors, so there were like lots of colors I needed to choose. They actually came in the mail like this week, but I was only able to pick it up yesterday, and so I filmed me opening that package, so I'll insert that clip here so we can open it together and see what they look like. My yarn has arrived from crochet.com for my Kai fella sweater, and I have multiple colors in this one ginormous box, so I thought I would open it on camera. So here we go. Oh my goodness, they debagged them. Oh my gosh, look how great that looks. Okay, I'll show each color one by one. This is the boring one, but this is coal. Can you see that? Okay. This one is, what color is this? This one's Bermuda. This one is Heather. Chestnut. I was really excited to see this one in particular. Oh, this turned out beautiful. Noble Heather. A lot more emerald green than in the picture, but I don't mind at all. Cilantro Heather. That looks exactly like in the picture, so that's fine. And then the last one is Fjord Heather, and that one's beautiful too. There you go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully the camera work was okay. My partner had to help me because I was at my parents' house, and so we did it at their dinner table. Anyway. So now when I received the yarn, before I received the yarn, I actually created a schematic of what the colors, like the patchwork would look like with each of the colors. Because in the pattern, like most patterns, it just says C1, C2, C3, C4. And I wanted to actually see what the colors would look like for the front and back of the sweater. And there was a schematic of the placement of colors included in the pattern, which is super helpful. So I used that to create this on Canva. I'll try and show you. So this piece is the front piece. Oh, this piece is the front piece, and this piece is the back piece. Now I just like played around with like, trying to like give a bit of a high contrast between the colors on their placement, and I was able to determine like which color was which from this schematic that I filled in. And just so that if you watched my mini episode of choosing colors, I'm pretty sure you're probably confused because as you can see, I actually ended up getting the cilantro green, which I thought I had removed from my selection. It's this one right here. That one. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, this one. So I thought I'd removed that, but I actually didn't. And it was actually a bit of a happy accident because I realized after doing this schematic that every color is connected, like interacts. Interacts is next to the rib. And so if my rib and one of my squares is the same color, it will like look funny. I don't know. I'm like picky. And so like if this color, it's like this color and this color were the same, it would look weird, right? It could just be me, but like I don't like the idea of that. Like I want the rib to be like straight across, like you're not distracted by a square that's the same color as the ribbing. And so I was like, oh, well, happy accident. I can just use the cilantro color and then use my Jurassic yarn, which I have left over from a previous project just for the ribbing. Anyway, that's how I decided that. Now I'll show you where I'm up to so far. Let me just put my laptop down. This is like one day of knitting. So it's not that much. So I've started on the back. It's a bit hard because there's lots of different balls of yarn happening. So you can see there I've got my Jurassic, this like forest green color as the ribbing. This is Noble Green. This is Cilantro. This is Coal. Chestnut, and Dove Heather. And this is all in Wool of the Andes. And yeah, I'm just trucking along. This is the first time I've done intarsia, and I feel like this is a really good beginner like introduction to intarsia because it's easy to see where you do the color changes. You just do the same color change at the same point every single time. And so I'm really excited to finish this row because then there's the other colors to do. But I thought I would also show you how I'm knitting this. This will no way be a tutorial because this is, again, it's my first time doing intarsia. But I thought it'd be interesting just to show you what I'm doing. I looked at a couple of tutorials, but I already had a general idea of how it worked. But yeah, I'll show you that next. Alright, a little bit of a change of angle here. Hopefully this is clear. I've like kind of scattered this all over the place so I can like organize it and show you what's going on here. So with intarsia, if people like have never heard of this like this technique before, what you do is that you are using multiple balls of yarn like at the same time for different sections of the piece. And so if I show you the back of this, it'll probably start making sense. So you can see for this part here, I have this part of the ball hanging. Oh my gosh, sorry, this is a bit of an awkward angle. I have this part of the ball hanging down, ready for me to pick up and start a new row for this particular square. And this is the same for all of the colors. So you can see this chestnut color, I have this hanging yarn, which is connected to this ball, ready for me to purl across to make the next row of that square, and so on and so forth. And the important part of intarsia is actually twisting the yarns together to ensure that there's no hole left over when you're changing colors. And maybe I'll show you what that looks like when you don't twist it. Anyway, so right now I'm up to the right side. Let's see if I'm able to knit at this angle. So here I take my ball of yarn, which is what I'm up to on the right side, and it's all a bit tangled. And that's what I've been kind of battling this past day, trying to figure out how to organize this yarn. There's probably a better way. I'm just not sure. I know that you're able to like cut pieces of this yarn, like a really long piece, and then like make a little bundle so it's smaller than this. It's just like a section of yarn. But like the squares are like quite large. Like if they were smaller, I guess that would work, but they're quite big. I guess I can use this first row as a reference to see how much yarn I need, and then I'll be able to make mini balls of yarn out of this, so I don't have to keep like detangling all these giant balls of yarn. Anyway, sorry, I'm like getting sidetracked. Let me detangle this. So I've detangled it, and I'm up to the right side of the piece, and this is knitted in stockinette. So on the right side, we're knitting just like plain knitting. This is the easiest part because you're just starting off the row. You don't need to change colors at the beginning. So I'm just straight knitting right now. Oh my God, please don't judge my knitting style. I'm like usually faster, but I'm nervous. All right, we're almost done. So we're up to the important part now. You can see that we're like up to the color change. Here's the color that I just did, and here's the new color. If I flip it over, you can see that I have the new color here waiting. From last time when I was knitting it, I left it there. And so this is how you change colors. Let me detangle it first. So we're up to changing colors. I'll show you the back of it. Now the important part here is that we kind of like tie down our first color with our new color. We kind of anchor it down to make sure that we don't have like a gap in between the two colors. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna get this yarn, my old color, put it to the left, and then we trap it with our new color. Can you see that? Like here's my old color, here's my new color. I've trapped it in there, so it's not going anywhere. There's no gap. It's kind of similar to the weave and Steven, if you're familiar. You know how when you're knitting on the right side and changing colors, and you kind of like twist it on the wrong side of the work to weave in that end to trap it. It's very similar to that. So if you're familiar with that, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. So now that I've trapped the old color with the new color, I can just knit. You can see here's my old color. I just knit And that old color is now trapped with my new color. And then I just continue knitting. I'll just do 3, and then I'll show you. You can see between the 2 colors there's no gap whatsoever because I anchored it down so that there's no gap. So I'm going to finish this next color, and I'm going to show you what happens when you don't anchor it down. I'm watching MasterChef on mute in the background, so I'm like slightly distracted. Shout out to people who watch MasterChef. I've been watching every night that it's on. Okay, so again, we're up to a color change. The contrast between this is way better, so hopefully you can see it better. Yeah, so we're up to a new color. We're gonna go into this black color now. Now I'll show you what happens if you don't anchor it. Meaning that I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna trap this next color, the black, with my with this green color. I'm just going to just start knitting. So if I show you the back, here's my old color, here's my new color. It's not anchored, they're not crossed over or anything. And I knit it. I just keep on knitting and pretend that I'm just like la-di-da, don't know what's going on. Now if I open it, boom. Can you see that big gap right there? Hopefully it's focusing. That gap right there, I can almost stick my finger through it. I didn't trap that yarn. So now there's just a big gap because there's nothing that's connecting these 2 colors together. And that's why it's really important to do that twist between the 2 colors. Or else it's just there's going to be just like giant holes in your sweater. Okay, hopefully that was clear. I'll just move on to giving my kind of like first impressions of the pattern, of the Kai Fella pattern. And yeah, hopefully I'll have more footage to show you when I make more progress on the sweater. So yes, I'm not that far in at all, but I thought I'd give like my first impressions of the pattern. I have read it a little bit more ahead than where I am, but not like in depth. So this sweater, the Kai Fella sweater, is knitted flat, which is quite interesting. I've never done that before. It's a very detailed pattern with sizing, especially the fact that like if you want to make it longer or shorter, you actually have to take into consideration that the squares, like the actual size of the squares, I didn't even think about that, right? Because you want all the squares to be the same, and if you want it to be longer, then like you need to take that into consideration all over the sweater, because then it impacts the size of the squares on the sweater, and the pattern tells you how to account for that, which is really helpful. The intarsia technique for this is quite simple, and by quite simple, I would say that it's like for an intermediate knitter. If you haven't done intarsia before, I haven't done intarsia before, and I feel like I'm doing okay. The only thing I'm nervous about is the sleeves, because that also has all over squares on it. And also the sleeves are knitted flat, which I've never done before, so I don't know how that's gonna work. And also I noticed, I don't know if I read it right, but I noticed that the collar is not knitted in the rounds, and that makes me uncomfortable. For some reason, I was like, it said sew on the collar. I'm like, sew it on? I might as well just pick up stitches around the neckline and then knit it in the round. So I don't know, maybe that will be a change that I'll make. We'll see. I guess I'll just like see how I go. If I don't like what it tells me to do, I can just always do something different, which there's a risk to that, because like I never go outside the pattern unless I'm 100% sure it will be okay. So I'll have to like look into it more, and when I get up to it, make the decision then. But yeah, super excited to keep on going. Hopefully, like I said before, that I'll keep filming my progress so you can see this sweater come together. Not even halfway through the first row. Okay, see you in my next update. Bye. Hi. So, it's 2 days later. It's been 2 days since I made my last update, and I have finished the first row of the sweater. So let me move these. It's all like a little bit bunched up because my needle cord is like not quite short, but it's not like 100 centimeters. I think this one's 80, so that's why it's like a little bit bunched up. But if I were to like stretch out the square, you can see that there, right? And let me flip it over so you can see the other side, because I think this is so satisfying. Oh, well, it looks a bit crazy. I just like cut off all the ends. But do you see like, there's like these beautiful, it's very neat, which I'm really happy with. Like with this, it almost looks sewn together when really it's just knitting back and forth and carrying along that yarn. that I was talking about previously. It creates like this cool like seam. I've organized the next set of colors so you can see what the next row will look like. So I've got Fjord, Dove, Bermuda. So these are 2 new colors that I haven't used yet, which I'm excited for. Noble Heather and Coal. So that will be the next row. I'm not sure if I will update you on like the next row, or I'll update you once I'm ready to do the shoulder shaping. I don't know. We will see. You will find out in just a moment. But yeah, it's looking really good. I'm really happy. Hi again. So it's been a couple of hours since I last checked in. A disaster has struck. I have made a mistake in literally like within the first row of changing colors. And I know I was saying, oh, it's so easy to tell when to change colors. And I just like messed up. No one's perfect. I'm not a perfect knitter. I'm showing this for like full transparency. Like whenever I do a project, I always make at least one mistake, so I'm glad it's just happened early, I guess. Anyway, let me show you. So I'll show you, hopefully it'll turn up on the screen. It's quite subtle. I didn't notice it until I was midway through the second row. So hopefully, is it focusing? I can't tell from this angle. I hope it is. So you can see here that my darker green, which is Noble, it's like 2 stitches over into this lighter green color. So these 2 stitches here should be the lighter green color, not this dark Noble green. And it's just like totally messed everything up, because you can see that this gray, which sits right under this lighter green, is now like shifted over shifted over to the side. I don't know my left from right. It's shifted over to the side. It should be 2 more over on the side. So that's what's happening. Oh, there we go. You can see it pretty clearly there, hey. I was thinking about just ignoring it and just keeping on going, but my perfectionism won't allow me to. Also, like, I feel like it will be pretty, well, this is the back, okay? I could just go on and not worry about it, but I'm only 1.5 rows in. I just have to rip back 2 rows and then reattach, like, the new colors on again. I obviously wasn't paying attention when I was doing it, but I also suspect it's because I had so many ends going on. I'm, like, doing the weave and Steven as well for the remainder of the old color, just to weave the ends in as I go. So I think I got, like, a bit confused while I was like changing colors, and I changed it at the wrong time. Like I changed it too early before I was meant to. Anyway, I will probably rip this out tonight and I'll show you what it looks like when it is fixed. So here's the before. So yeah, there you go. It's all fixed now. And I've just started the next row of the new colors. Well, not the new colors, just like the different color combinations. And yeah, I'm gonna keep trucking along, and I'll update you again if any other mistakes happen. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, I'll update you whenever I reach the next milestone. Hello. Okay, so I don't know how many days it's been since I last recorded. A lot has happened. I got a new haircut. I've made lots of progress on my sweater, so I'm gonna show you. Here she goes. I just finished the back today, and I'm filming it after I just finished it. So here it is. It is so massive. It looks so beautiful on camera, wow. So I've completed the shoulder shaping and everything. I don't know if you can see, but I have these live stitches here which will go around the back of the neck. And then the shoulder shaping is here. Very interesting. I've never done shoulder shaping like flat before, so that was interesting. But yeah, as soon as I finished it and I took a step back and I looked at it, I was like, this is way too big. This is way too big. I'm knitting an extra large. I hit gauge, and by hit gauge, I mean it was big enough. Did it hit gauge exactly? No. It was probably like, in terms of width, it was good, but length, it was like maybe half a centimeter more. And I was like, whatever, like the issue so far I've had with trying to knit a sweater for my partner is it being too small. So I don't care. If it turns out bigger, it's fine. But then I was knitting this and I finished it and I was looking at it. I was like, this looks ginormous. So this is an extra large. I don't know if I said that. This is an extra large. I'm knitting an extra large. And so when he came home, I like put it like behind his back and to see. And it like looked fine. And I was like to him, I don't want to be mean, but when I was looking at this, it looked ginormous. But I think it's just because it's a piece of fabric. As soon as it turns into like a sweater, because like when you look at this, it's just like a sheet of fabric. And then in your mind, it's like, whoa, that's huge. But then as soon as it's going to be a sweater, I think it will look normal. Anyway, my point is it looks like it's going to fit him and like not be too big, which is great. So yes, I'm so excited. Like the back already looks so fabulous. Once I do the front, oh my god, I'm gonna be so excited. I think that should be the thumbnail. Okay, so I think that's gonna be my last update for this part. I've decided to cut this into 2 parts because I feel like I already have so much footage, enough for one video, and I don't want to like publish a video that's like 2 hours long. So I think this is going to be the end of part 1, and I feel like it's a good way to finish because I've finished the back and now I can start fresh on the front. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I feel like it was like very different from what I've like put out so far in terms of my videos. It was a bit chaotic, but that's always what it is with knitting. And like with any craft, right? It's just like chaotic. Please tell me you feel the same way. If it's just me, it's just me, whatever. Like, I'm always chaotic whenever I'm knitting. So you got to see all of that. So I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, stay well. Thank you for watching this far. Don't forget to subscribe if you would like to. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.